Hello everybody, my name is Jennifer Maker. It's a beautiful day to show you how to use the Cricut Autopress to quickly make a wide variety of heat transfer projects with near zero effort. So together, over the years, we've been making iron-on vinyl and infusible ink transfer projects, right? And as you know, I've been quite happy with my Cricut EasyPress. But recently, I took my team on a retreat, and we made over 30 t-shirts for them, like this one. After the first 8 or so shirts, we found ourselves wishing for something more, well, automated. Something that would make the heat transfer process just a little faster and easier. And wouldn't you know it, but our wish was granted with the Cricut Autopress, which does all of the heavy lifting with automated features like auto adjustment and auto release, making things like this a breeze. It gave us the perfect pressure and precise time and temperature with just 2 fingers. So look at our awesome heat transfer vinyl t-shirts. This is my amazing team on Castaway Cay during our Disney cruise. We had the best time ever. So would you like to see how it works? Come with me to my craft table and I'll show you the Cricut Autopress and what makes it so special. Now, the Autopress is the most advanced of the new Cricut line of heat presses, and thus it is the most expensive of them as well. But let's first focus on what makes it so special. And if you stay to the end, I'll tell you why I think this can make a real difference and how it can save you both time and money in the long run. Yes, really. And before I go any further, I want to thank Cricut, who sent me an Autopress in advance without any expectation of a positive review, so I could learn how it works and teach you everything that we learned. When I'm done, I'll be donating this Autopress to a charitable organization that needs to make awesome things too, and I'll be buying my own Autopress. Now, like everything Cricut does, the Autopress goes way beyond the ordinary. Everything about its design makes it easier and helps us make more in the less time. And it's really going to be a lot easier for me to show you rather than just tell you. So let's unbox the Cricut Autopress together, and then I'll show you hands-on how this one-of-a-kind press works to automate the pressing process of iron-on vinyl, infusible ink, and sublimation projects. Now, the box is heavy at 58 pounds, so I recommend 2 people lift it. Greg's going to come help me. But don't let its weight fool you. The Autopress was made to fit on a standard kitchen counter, and you only need 22.5 inches from the back to the front of your counter for it to fit. Inside the box, we have the Autopress itself, plus a special removable pressing mat with a non-slip silicone grip, the control pod with easy-to-use dials, a USB cable, the power cord, and the quick start guide. So once you've got the Autopress out of its box, follow the quick start guide for registration. You'll need a laptop or desktop computer and the USB cord that came in your box. You'll also need 1300 watts of power, which is actually a bit less than the 12 by 10 inch EasyPress 3, so it's nothing crazy. Now, you don't have to plug the Autopress's plug directly into a wall outlet. You can use an extension cord that is correctly rated for at least 1300 watts of power, which means that you could get a light outdoor or medium duty cord that works with at least 13 amps, like this one here. This is not unusual, and you probably already have one. Do be cautious, however, of things like power strips. If you plug anything else into a power cord, even one rated for 13 amps, you'll be sharing the amperage with another device, and it won't be sufficient. So give the Autopress a dedicated extension cord, if you use one, with the proper rating. To register the Autopress, go to cricut.com/setup, click on Heat Press, choose Autopress, and follow the on-screen directions. First, make sure your Autopress is on a sturdy surface, like mine is here, and the connection ports are easily accessible. You do not need to screw your Autopress down to your surface like you do some other heat presses out there. Then plug in your cable to a wall outlet or an extension cord rated for at least 13 amps, and then plug the USB cord from the control pod to your laptop or desktop computer. Once it's plugged in, you'll see the letters USB appear on the control pod, and you can click Continue in the setup. Let's activate Cricut Autopress, add Cricut Autopress to your Cricut ID. So I'm going to tap I agree to Cricut Terms of Use and Privacy Policy and click on Activate. And it's updating to get us the latest features. So once the update is done, the control pod changes from USB to UPD 100%, which I think means update. All right, I'm going to click Continue. Step 4, remove the USB from the computer and plug it into the heat press. Step 5, position the Autopress to suit your workspace if needed. Ensure 26 inches for open clearance. All right, so to complete activation, we need to unlock it and then power it on. The unlock button is on the side, and we toggle the unlock right here like this. And the lid lifts up. Don't let that surprise you. And then we're going to power it on with the button right next to it. Just like this. Isn't that amazing? So once your Autopress is activated, you don't need your laptop or desktop at all to use it. The look and feel of the Autopress is something to consider when you're deciding between options, and it definitely involves personal preferences. The Autopress has a sleek, home-friendly design. It's no big industrial piece of machinery that looks out of place. We all know I like things to be beautiful inside and out, so that's a major plus for me. Harmony in my space creates harmony in my mind and attitude. This is a commercial level quality heat press with a really sturdy steel construction. The heat plate is 15 by 12 inches and it has a ceramic coated surface. The heat plate opens up a lot wider than most other heat presses, which means you have more room to work and less reason to worry. It opens up a full 62 degrees. And unlike other presses that require some effort and strength to open and close, the Autopress needs only 2 fingers. This is all it takes to close and open the Autopress. And notice how the heat plate comes straight down once it gets to a certain point in its arc. This means you can get perfect edge-to-edge transfers and your designs aren't going to shift around on your material. It applies even top-down pressure. And the auto open feature, arguably one of my favorite features, means you can be pressing and prepping at the same time. The Autopress is a huge time saver, and time is money and sanity. The mat has a silicone backing on it so it doesn't move around. But you can easily remove it so you can be preparing and aligning projects off the heat plate. This is a lot easier and faster than trying to bend over a hot surface to do it. And I love the control pod. Here is the dial for the temperature, the dial for the time, and along the top are the preset buttons. The preset buttons come pre-programmed with popular settings. Preset 1 is Sport Flex on polyester. Preset 2 is Everyday Iron-On on cotton. Preset 3 is Glitter Iron-On on cotton. And Preset 4 is Infusible ink on polyester. It's really easy to create new presets. Simply change your the dial, select the time and temperature you want, and then press and hold a preset button for about 3 seconds until it beeps. And that's it. Easy peasy. I even love that it's not Bluetooth enabled like the Cricut EasyPress 3 and Hat Press, because if I'm using the Autopress instead of my EasyPress, that likely means I'm doing batches of things and I'm going for speed. And honestly, an app would just slow me down here. The movable control pod with its big dials is ideal. The Autopress heats all the way up to 400 degrees Fahrenheit, which means you can do all of the infusible ink and sublimation projects you want, as well as iron-on vinyl, of course. I also love that the pressure is automatically applied on the Autopress, and I don't have to fiddle with it. The Autopress applies just the right amount of pressure with its motor, and all it takes is just closing the lid with 2 fingers. The force is constant no matter how thick the material is. Most other heat presses have no motors at all. It's all on you to apply the right amount of pressure. The Autopress motors automatically adjust to the thickness of the material and eliminates the effort and guesswork here. And there are some really important safety features and things going on that you may never even notice, like heat-safe plastics that you can touch without worry. So many other heat presses have ridiculously hot surfaces that are unsafe. And there's a hidden fan that manages the temperature and pulls the heat away from touch points like the handle. And there's a 13-minute auto off feature so you have peace of mind. There's also a simple override in case you need to open it up. Just tap up on the handle like that. And if your Autopress loses power, it will automatically open. So let's put the Autopress through its paces. I've already turned it on and it'll take about 8 minutes for it to heat up fully. Let's make one of those team shirts that I showed you earlier. The Cricut Heat Guide at cricut.com/heat guide says to preheat the shirt for 5 seconds, which we want to do to remove moisture. So I'm going to fold my cotton shirt in half to get a nice center crease for alignment, and then place it on the pressing mat, put it into the Autopress, and lower the heat plate for 5 seconds. We could change the time dial to 5 seconds to do this, or simply watch the time and open the press at any time by lifting up on the handle, or even make a preset that's just for preheating. It's your choice. Then we open up the shirt to see the crease, line up the crease on the shirt with the crease on our design's liner, just like this. Lots of room to work here. I love how open this is because I don't feel unsafe or anything. And now we just wait for it to open. It does all of the adjustment. So it's doing the pressure and I don't have to worry about it. The control pod will count down and it will beep when it's done and it'll just open for you. So you can be preparing another project while this is working, which I love. All right, so there it is. We do not have to press the back of the shirt the way that we do with the EasyPress. I really like that. Now, glitter iron-on is a cool peel vinyl, so we're just going to let it cool a little bit before we peel off that liner. And in the meantime, we can start working on our next project. Now, the size of the heat plate means you can often do 2 projects at once. So let's do some baby bodysuits. 2 of them using Infusible ink. Now it's important that with Infusible ink that you have no seams or snaps getting in the way. So I'm using some DIY pressing mats inside the bodysuits. Here's a tip. You can make your own DIY pressing pillows from Teflon pressing sheets, a little felt or high density foam, and a stapler. So no sew, just make sure there's at least an inch around the perimeter and then staple all around the outside. It's super easy to do and you can make them in any size you need them. So Infusible ink on polyester is preset number 4. So you can see here it's heating up, and when it's all ready to go, this turns green. This little icon of the temperature turns green, and it also beeps. So now they're preheated and ready to go. Now we just put on our Infusible ink designs. Don't forget a piece of butcher paper that came in your Infusible ink transfer sheet to protect your heat plate. That's really the only reason that you need it. Okay, so let's go ahead and lower it. So now it will heat at 385 degrees for 30 seconds. Awesome. All right, so normally with Infusible ink, we want to give it a little while to cool down before we remove it because while it's at that high temperature, it's still sublimating. So we can just pick the mat up carefully. We don't want to jostle the design on there because that can cause ghosting. We'll give it just a little bit of time for it just to cool down a little bit, and then we'll remove it to see our awesome design. And there we go, cute little baby bodysuits made on the Autopress. One of the awesome things about using the Autopress to do Infusible ink is that you know you're going to get nice, consistent pressure, which is what you really need for a lovely Infusible ink transfer just like this. And of course, you can do layered projects. So let's make a pillow throw with everyday iron-on vinyl as our first layer, and then glitter iron-on vinyl as our second layer. So whenever you do a pillow or anything that has zippers or snaps or anything, always check to make sure where they are so that you're not putting it like on the top of your item. So my zipper is down here, so we want the zipper to be at the bottom. Here we go. And let's preheat it for 5 seconds. All right, so our first layer will be the iron-on vinyl. So we need to make sure we've got that placed properly. This is a very big design. Heat this for just the minimum amount of time that we need to get the iron-on vinyl to stick. So I'm going to go for 15 seconds. All right, so we open that up just like this. Now, everyday iron-on vinyl is a cool peel. All right, there we go. So now we put our red layer on, and this is glitter iron-on vinyl, which has its own settings. So let's first get it into position. Birds go on the little branches. It's really important that all of your vinyl be protected when you put the when you put the heat plate down. So we can just take the liner that we had and make sure that the whole thing is covered. And if you're having problems like I am right now getting the liner to stay put, you can use the Cricut heat transfer tape to keep it in place. So we'll put a piece of tape right up here and some on the side. And so everything, all of the vinyl that we did, except right there. Let's take a piece of parchment paper and cover that corner up right there. And put it right up there so that everything, all of the vinyl is protected. All right, ready? Let's do it. Excellent. All right, glitter is also a cool peel, so let's remove this. So we're going to want to wait till it cools down before we remove the liner. Yay! So here is our pillow throw. So one of the cool features of the Autopress is that you can put materials in up to 2 inches in thickness. So here is an oak board that we bought at our local home improvement store this morning. Let's put it in the press and add some iron-on vinyl and see what happens. Note how the Autopress comes straight down once it gets to a certain point, so you know your press is going to be perfect. And there we have an awesome sign on 2-inch oak with everyday iron-on vinyl. Isn't this cool? I love all of the features of the Autopress, but there's one in particular that is near and dear to my heart. Now, I avoided using those big industrial looking heat presses because frankly, they take up a ton of space that I just don't have. But not only does the Cricut Autopress take less space on the counter, but you can remove the pod cord and store it vertically behind a door, under a table, or anywhere that you have space. This is huge for me, and I just love its sleek, space-saving design. Now, the Autopress comes in a mist blue color, which you can see here at the base, and I don't think there are any plans to offer other colors. This mist blue matches the Cricut Maker 3 and the Cricut Bright 360 lamp, if you're curious. Now, there are some very inexpensive heat presses out there, and I know some of you have been successful using them, which is awesome. But I also get a lot of questions on how confusing those are to use, how they rarely come with any instructions, there's like no manual, and how there is no way to get support. I think those of you who struggle with this will find the Autopress to be very easy to set up and use, and will have the support that you need to be successful. I think the Autopress is going to be an amazing heat press to use for sublimation, in particular because of the way The heat plate comes straight down onto the project to automatically apply an even amount of pressure, rather than approach it at an angle like most other heat presses. That means less chance for movement and ghosting. I have been learning so much about sublimation, and I am excited to teach you what I have learned coming very soon. Now, I know that the Autopress's price tag of $1,000 seems like a lot if you're used to seeing just the entry-level heat presses. But it's important to understand this is not an entry-level heat press. If you want entry-level, go for an EasyPress. They're awesome. The Autopress is for those who are ready to take the next step and do more in less time. Let me give you a scenario. The custom and personalized team shirt, right? These would have cost us about $30 to have made for us. And what is 30 times 35, which is the number of shirts that we needed? 30 times 35 is $1,050, which right there is the price of the Autopress. Of course, we had to buy shirts and materials, yes, but that's not really that much money in the grand scheme. It's our time that is the most valuable. When we were making these shirts with the EasyPress, we had to do extra pressings because you need to press the back of each shirt too. And we had to stand right there during the pressing the whole time. But with the Autopress, it's just one press. No back pressing is needed. And we can be prepping one shirt while another is pressing. It is built for batches. The Autopress takes the pressing of all of these shirts from about 45 minutes total, all pushed together, right, to just 15 minutes. This is a game changer. Not only does it save time, but it saves money because you can get more done in what time you have. If you sell your things, your investment could be returned within, say, 50 presses. Even if you don't sell your stuff, your investment is returned in the time you save. Our most valuable and expensive resource is always our personal time. And if you're wondering if the Autopress is right for you, there are two things to consider: need and value. If you just make a few things here and there, some one-off projects, I think you're good to stick with your EasyPress or even your household iron. But if you make a lot of stuff and need that bulk making power, or if you really like the automatic nature of the Autopress, I think you're going to love this. For small businesses, community organizations, and big families, the value that the Autopress delivers is off the charts. Just being able to prep your next project while the Autopress does its thing, then auto opens when it's done so nothing overheats or gets ruined if you aren't standing right there, is truly, truly amazing. There are other heat presses that do this, yes, but they tend to cost more and have less automated features. The Cricut Autopress retails for $1,000, and the next best heat press that I could find with similar features, the venerable Stahl's Hotronix Auto Clam Heat Press, is over $1,100. The Autopress is not one of those cheapo heat presses without any real support. The ones that you all are telling me are so confusing to use that you rarely, if ever, use them. The Autopress is quality, and it's backed by a solid warranty that Cricut stands behind. It's got reliable safety features and manufacturing processes, and the support and help that you need to make your projects a success. The value is most definitely there if you need the functionality and the features. Of course, I don't think the Autopress is for everyone, but I know some of you are going to fall in love with it, just like I have. I think it's so cool. If you have any more questions about the Cricut Autopress, please let me know. Leave your questions below this video or ask over in our super cool Cricut Crafters group at jennifermaker.com/CricutCrafters, where you can get advice and ideas and help from crafters just like yourself. And if you want a Cricut cutting machine to go along with your Cricut Autopress, which is completely optional, you do not need to have a Cricut cutting machine for the Autopress, but it is really cool. I give one away every month. You could enter for your chance to win your own Cricut cutting machine at jennifermaker.com/Cricut giveaway. And that's it for today. If you'd like to learn more about how to make lots of shirts more efficiently, check out my Fast and Easy Family Vacation and Team Shirt tutorial. And if you'd like to learn more about using and layering Infusible ink, check out my Infusible ink shirt tutorial. Until next time, this is Jennifer Maker reminding you to craft a life you love.